Hey everyone. In all honesty, I haven't been feeling all that great as of late, so I wanted to make a video and basically share with you some of the things that I do to work through these more down periods in my life in the hopes that it can help you as well. So one of the first things I always do when I'm not feeling all that great is I remind myself that this period is only ever temporary. There is a lot of power behind reminding yourself of this fact because so often when we're feeling down, when we're feeling heavy emotions, we tend to kind of forget the bigger picture, which is this is only a temporary period. Sure, it sucks when we're going through it. It doesn't feel great at all, but it's not going to last forever. I mean, a lot of people will make kind of permanent or long-term decisions based on feeling heavy temporary emotions, and it's a really unfortunate thing because these emotions will eventually go away. They will subside. They don't last forever. They're not permanent. So always remind yourself that these periods are temporary. Heck, I mean, take it from me, I kind of take this to like a whole different level because I'll almost even talk that way to other people. I'll be like, hey, so I'm not feeling all that great right now, and I've kind of been feeling that way for a few days now, but it's only temporary and I'll get through this. That's literally the way I talk to people at times. So I highly encourage you start picking up that kind of lingo yourself because it can help so much. It truly does to remind yourself that these down periods are only ever temporary. They're not going to last forever and you will get through them. So that's the most important thing. But the next big thing that I like to do is I like to basically do more of the things that I love and enjoy. So for me, one of my favorite things to do is play video games. So quite often when I'm not feeling all that great, I'll set aside time to play some of my favorite video games and just immerse myself into those worlds so that I can kind of not ignore my emotions, but just do something that makes me feel happy, that makes me feel good. I'll also take drives in my car because that's another thing I really love doing. I'll listen to my favorite music, I'll even sing along to songs, and I'll basically pick a route that I know and love, a route that has a lot of beauty in it. I happen to live near the coast here in Los Angeles, so I will basically pick a route along the coast so I can see the sunset or peer over the ocean or just basically take in as much beauty as possible while listening to good music. And I highly recommend that because it's a lot of fun. And I can tell you when I'm feeling really bad, like where I would actually describe myself as being depressed, on those days I'll actually take night drives because there's just something about the world at night. It's kind of like there's like a magical quality. I can't quite describe it, but I really love going for night drives when I'm feeling really bad. It helps a lot. And then if you pick the right music to go along with it, there's just something about driving at night with the stars out and the moon shining. It's really beautiful and awesome. So I highly recommend that as well. But I usually only do that when I'm feeling really bad. So I don't know if you should only reserve it for those instances as well, or maybe it won't make you feel all that bad, but it's just another tool to have in your tool belt, I guess. So another thing that I would highly encourage is working out. That's a huge thing because quite often when we're not feeling great, we're feeling all these heavier emotions, and quite often they kind of can be presented or held in your body along with stress as well. So since we embody our emotions in that stress, working out is a great way of kind of releasing it. So you get rid of all that pent-up heavy energy and that pent-up stress. It helps so much with that when I'm not feeling great, I'll usually work out like a madman to try to work through it. And that's also a reason why so many men, when they're going through a breakup or a divorce, if they are someone who already was somewhat into lifting, they will go hardcore lifting afterwards because it's just a great way of working through your emotions. You can even process them while you're working out. So I highly recommend working out as a great way of just dealing with the heavier emotions as well. And another thing that I really love, which is kind of more low-key, not many people realize the power of this, but it's super helpful, and it is eating healthier. I know this is kind of, I guess, ironic in these circumstances because most people when they're not feeling great will kind of stress eat. They'll eat for pleasure. They'll eat a bunch of sugary things that taste good. But I've learned that that is kind of counterintuitive Because even though the food tastes good in the initial moments when you're eating it, when it's hitting your taste buds, as soon as you swallow it and it now is getting digested in your body, you start to feel even worse than before because that food is not good fuel for you. And also, quite often with the kind of food we'll choose to eat in these situations, sugary food, you get that insulin spike, and that means you're also going to get the crash. And the crash does not feel good at all. It usually makes us feel even worse. So I've just learned that you don't want to eat sugary food or eat for pleasure when you're not feeling good, because all it usually does is magnify those heavy emotions, those negative emotions. It makes you feel even worse. So it's just not worth it in my opinion. And I can tell you, I eat healthy the vast majority of the time. So the way I eat can literally affect my mood. If I eat a bunch of ice cream, because I love ice cream, but I haven't unfortunately found a type of ice cream that's on the healthier side, because I would totally love that, an ice cream that I wouldn't feel guilty eating. But anyway, when I eat ice cream, it will literally make me feel worse afterwards. So even though I love it, it's almost not worth it half the time, because after I eat it, I'll go from feeling content to then just blah, and it's not fun. So knowing how our diet can impact our moods like that, just stay away from the sugary junk food when you're not feeling good. It will only make you feel worse, so it's simply not worth it. Have the willpower to reject that stuff and just focus on eating healthy, because that will make you feel better. Believe me, it is a bit harder because you'll want to stress eat, but just resist that urge as much as possible. Believe me, you'll be glad you did so. So anyway, on to the last tip that I use when I'm not feeling great. I feel my emotions. This is a huge one, because when you really get down to it, our emotions are something that they're kind of like energy. It kind of just rises up in your body and you don't really control it, and then something needs to be done with that energy for it to go away. And usually, as we know in physics, energy can't be created nor destroyed. So I like to think of a similar thing with our emotions, where they can't really be destroyed once they're, well, in a way, I guess this analogy doesn't hold up now that I think about it. But anyway, pretend that it does. So your emotions will rise up within you, and since that energy can't just disappear, I like to think that you have to kind of transmute it into something else, into another emotion. So when you're feeling a heavy emotion, your goal would be to transmute it into a lighter one. So for instance, going from feeling sad to feeling content. So when I'm not feeling great, I will allow myself to feel my emotions, because that's how you transmute them into the lighter ones. So if I'm feeling sad, then I will sit in that sadness and just feel it, even though it doesn't feel great. The process of feeling your emotions allows you to transmute them into those lighter ones. It allows you to release your emotions. You kind of can't release your emotions without feeling them, as we all pretty much know consciously, even if we don't practice that in our lives. Because think about this, we've all been in that situation where you went through a breakup, or just you were getting over someone, and if you try to ignore your emotions in that situation and just let time heal you, well, time isn't going to heal you. What will end up happening is those emotions that you're feeling will just kind of go from being at the surface level to underneath the surface, but they're still there. So then the next time a similar situation happens to you, you'll get triggered, and those emotions will go right back to the surface, and you'll feel them all over again. And that's why so many people can't heal from their past trauma, because they ignored the emotions they were feeling from the traumatic experience. So that's why I say you should allow yourself to feel your emotions, because then you can work through them and release them and transmute them into lighter emotions, so then they no longer hold that power over you, and they won't get suppressed and then just come back to the surface later on when you encounter another triggering situation. So allow yourself to feel your emotions. The important thing here, though, is do not act on them. That's what I would always encourage. So I know telling people to feel their emotions, usually most people are going to be like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound fun. True. But the important thing is not to act on them. Because even when you're feeling sad, that doesn't mean that you need to just open up a bag of chips and devour the whole thing out of stress eating, or cut yourself, God forbid. No, you don't need to act on the emotion at all. You can sit in sadness and just sit there and do nothing. you can do that. You don't need to act on the emotion. So always remind yourself that that's the important part. While feeling the emotion isn't going to feel great, it at least will help you work through it and release it. So just remind yourself to not act on it when you're feeling that way, so you don't do anything permanent or rash while you're feeling those heavy emotions. So I would always encourage working through your emotions in that way and not just allowing them to be suppressed or shoved down beneath the surface, because that is never helpful. So these are some of the main things that I do when I'm not feeling so great. And just to kind of close out this video, remind yourself that it's not bad to feel down sometimes. It happens to all of us. I mean, even me, like, I make these videos to help you guys, and I would hope that I never give off the impression that I'm perfect, because I am not. I am human like all of you. And even I am not immune to feeling down and out at times. It happens to everyone. So knowing that, when you feel that way, do not beat yourself up over the way you feel. I never do that, because there's no point in that. And I also realize that sometimes we're just going to feel that way, and it may not even be our own faults. And especially when it's not your own fault, you should not beat yourself up. That's stupid. It's a waste of time. There's no fruit in it, so don't do it. Instead, just say, hey, this is something that happens to everyone. It's temporary, and I'll get through it, and things will get better over time, because they will. So just move through that temporary period, and you'll come out of it feeling a lot better. I mean, this is what I always tell myself, and it helps me get through it. So it's important that you do these things as well. So anyway, I truly hope the tips in this video are helpful to you, and I'll see you guys in the next one, where hopefully I'll be feeling a bit better. But if not, that's okay as well. So I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!